Hi, Marty Duda here with another 13th Floor Music Talk episode. Today I'm talking to Kiwi folkie Graeme James, who has returned from the Netherlands to tour New Zealand in support of his latest EP, Field Notes on an Endless Day. The EP is the final of 4, each associated with one of the seasons. Graeme and I go through his new EP track by track. Check it out.
The trees are always optimistic and fill their branches with new leaves. I raise my arms into the coolness of the shade and I say thank you.
So you've got a tour coming up, a new EP coming out. It's a part of a series. It's all very exciting. So this is the 4th in the series of EPs. We'll talk about that first. And it's coming out on July 30th. So for folks who aren't aware of the concept behind these 4 seasonal EPs, maybe you can elaborate for us.
Well, it kind of kicked off, the idea started when I moved to the Netherlands with my wife in 2018. And I was just kind of struck by the just more extremes in terms of the seasons in northern Europe. Yep. So your summers tend to be a bit hotter, and winters, the canals will freeze over, and autumn is just full of deciduous trees. So you get a really strong sense of the seasonality of things, which is a little bit contrasted to Wellington, where you've got like wind and then like colder, stronger wind being mostly, and then the occasional just glorious day. So I was struck by that, and that kind of kicked off like a bunch of songwriting, just a really intense period of songwriting, and then I decided to kind of use the seasons as a template for exploring kind of the associated emotions, if that makes sense.
Right. Very good.
I feel like most, the seasons are really quite rich with metaphor for life.
Yep.
And so I was just like, let's lean into each one of these seasons and in a songwriting sense and see how we go. So,
So now you did this project starting in the Netherlands, and now you're here in New Zealand, and you're releasing the summer EP in the winter. I love it.
It's completely, it's kind of a sign of the times, because we were supposed to be back in New Zealand many months ago to do some touring, and everything got delayed. And then there was a change to the COVID regulations in terms of the MIQ. So we thought, let's come back in a hurry.
Yep.
And just for a season. And so, it's quite ironic that I'll be releasing the summer EP on July 30th, which is like the depth.
The winter. Yep, absolutely. Oh, well. Well, like you say, it doesn't get that cold here. I'm from upstate New York, and it gets really, really cold in the winter and really hot in the summertime. So there you go.
Oh, yeah.
Kind of evens out here. So my understanding, speaking of the States, is that you recorded in an old American embassy in the Netherlands?
Yes, a true story, actually.
That sounds fascinating. Were there ghosts of politicians past during there?
Oh, yeah. Well, no, it's a fantastic old building built in the 50s. I think it's actually been designated as a heritage building. Right. But because it's just an iconic design, which is not all. I've been to a few American embassies in my time, and not all of them are iconic. Right. This one is particularly beautiful, and so just wood paneling and just everything you would imagine straight out of a 50s kind of movie or set. And they rent out rooms in there. So myself and 6 other musicians acquired a space, and we've just been making music pretty furiously in there, especially over the lockdowns.
Very cool.
Yeah, so it's a good buzz.
It's a good buzz. Yeah. So the EP that's being released on the 30th consists of 6 songs. So maybe we can just kind of briefly go through them. And
totally.
Given the first one is called the tallest tree.
Lying on the block, I was the tallest tree. Cut down at the knees, I watched the clock moving by degrees, moving with so geez. I ran away with time. It wasn't smart, or so it now appears.
The tallest tree it is, yes. Yeah. So I've I finished recording these songs in a bedroom in New Plymouth, which is just wild. So we came over in a hurry, and they were like, right, we need a space. So I'm just I'd temporarily shelved them in my brain, so I'm just going through them. So that was actually a co-write with my brother.
Okay.
This one actually preceded the move. No, it was actually when I was last in New Zealand. We sat down in the lounge and started writing this tune. And yeah, a little bit more, it's kind of almost a bit more indie rock, but I've thrown a bit of banjo and mandolin in there and accordion just to throw people off the
kind
scent.
of jangle, that indie jangle thing going on. Yeah. And there's a great line in it: "A shot in the dark isn't blind if you never miss your mark." So was that yours or your brother's?
Oh, good question. He only gets 25%. No,
Now we're getting down to it.
No. It was definitely just a fun afternoon. So we've done a few co-writes actually, and he's just very good at bringing out. We know each other pretty well, so it's a fun co-writing environment.
Cool. Now, the next tune is called "The Angel of St. George," which is also the single.
The angel of St. George, he wanted to take a picture. The exhibition wasn't over. No, it was much more of a fixture. I never wanted it to end. I never wanted it to end.
Yes. So that was based around this is obviously pre-lockdowns, and we decided, spur of the moment, to go for a bit of a holiday in northern Italy from the Netherlands and a bit of Switzerland. And we're not massive touristy kind of people. So we thought we're just going to skip Venice because, it'll be great, but it'll just be kind of, there was a vibe that we were getting that wasn't that. So we almost skipped Venice entirely, which would have been a crying shame. But we ended up, I thought, we'll just catch a train from, we were in Veneto, the province, and we'll catch the train in, and we just fell in love with it immediately, which is kind of a no-brainer. It is amazing. But we had this whole series of wonderfully serendipitous moments that they were just beautiful. Particularly the Biennale, I think it's called the Biennale, my Italian pronunciation is not so good, which is the premier modern art kind of exhibition in the world. It was actually on my wife's, like, one of the 3 things on my wife's bucket list.
Oh, right.
And she hadn't even considered that it might actually be on at that point in time. And we just met this dude. I said, we were doing selfies and stuff as you do. And he said, "Can I take your photo?" And he did. And then he said, "Are you going to the Biennale?" And we said, "Is it on?" And then we saw all the posters everywhere, which we just hadn't been paying attention to. So we cancelled everything else and stayed for a couple of days. Just had a beautiful time.
Excellent.
So, yeah.
Now, the next tune is called "Await the Tide." And I noticed it's kind of a more folky tune with some nice harmonica in there.
No, it comes in on the way. Await the
Yeah, that's actually my dad playing the harmonica on that.
Oh, great.
So we had a family band back in the day. So we still have a lot of spend a lot of time jamming. So quite recently, when we were in New Plymouth where they lived, he played on that tune. And it's a song was actually written in Wellington about the South Coast,
right? Which
is just very gorgeous, and a sense of wanting to find a place you can call home, but it kind of evading you. And
there's some ocean or beach sounds at the end of the song as well.
Yes. Indeed. Yeah.
And then we have "Close to You," not a song by the Carpenters, but your own, I'm assuming.
The best kind of freedom really isn't a freedom at all. The tree finds no joy in liberation from the soil, so I'll stay close to you.
Well, that was actually, so the inspiration behind that one was a line from a Indian poet, Rabindranath Tagore, and from a poem called Fireflies. And it's just a beautiful line which says that the tree does not find liberation and freedom from the soil, or freedom from the earth. I can't remember which translation it was, but that just struck me as such a wonderful picture, especially in these times where individuality and the self is king in these days. And we think, oh, if I can just get away from anyone and everything, and then I will be free.
Yeah.
And you see that all the time with, this is not having a dig in particular, but you'll see people backpacking around and just trying to get away from everything. But I realize that there's a real joy in relationship, and there's freedom in relationship, and in our interconnectedness, that's where we grow as trees. So I just found that to be quite a moving line.
Right. Cool.
Yeah.
Excellent. And then we move on to the wild.
I once had a dream. I was standing upon a hill. Oh, I had a dream of you and I. We stood by the sea, rolling and powerful. I took the deepest breath. I was alive.
This was a conversation I had with a friend in a pub. An ironic setting for a song about the wilderness, but he was just talking about he's a friend who has a strong probably fear of missing out on things, and in particular wild places. The Netherlands is not particularly wild.
No.
It's gorgeous, but there's probably not a square foot of ground that hasn't been turned over by someone at some point in time.
Right.
And so I was just thinking about that, because I have that same longing in myself for wild spaces. And I just got thinking about that, and the need for solitude, and the need, to be away from things in order to commune with.
Right.
Yeah.
And you got some BVs happening on that one from somebody or other, it sounds like.
Yes, that's my wife.
I thought
so. I just realized there's all family stuff going on. So my brother co-writing with my wife. My wife is an incredible songwriter and vocalist, in my opinion. And no, she's actually just wonderful. So she's done a ton of background vocals on this whole project.
Right.
Which has been awesome.
Excellent. And then finally, we get the title track of the EP, Field Notes on an Endless Day, which is a very summery kind of vibe. Just
You left your watch down by the tide line and found your joy there on the ocean. We marked the time with the beating of our hearts, and I say thank you.
Well, this is kind of in terms of when I was thinking about what is summer for me, and I just have a lot of recollections of just the endlessness, especially when you're younger.
Yep.
You summer holidays start and you're off to some folk festival somewhere, and you set up a tent, and by 3:00 in the afternoon, you feel like you've been there for like years somehow.
Right, yeah.
And you can't believe that there's still 10 days to go or something like that. And so I think my primary kind of meditation on summer was just the sense of timelessness, and the cycle of life. There's this kind of period of time where things prior to the realizations of autumn, and which is also beautiful, but it contains these kind of like winter is on the way kind of feelings. So I wanted to just sit in that moment and just be and take in all the wonderful things that summer is. Yeah.
Very good. And so now you the tour has actually almost started, hasn't it? You've done a couple of dates.
Yeah, it started in Nelson, which is fitting.
Wanaka?
Yep, and then and Waimate of all places, which is in South Canterbury.
Right. So are you on your own? Do you have a band? Tell us what we can.
So doing, I've got a band of me. So I've got about 8 instruments.
Ah, yes.
And I'm looping and making all sorts of hooting and hollering and stomping sounds via a loop pedal.
Right. Now talk to me about the loop pedal, because I remember when I first saw them, I forget who it was. I saw somebody performing it, and I found it very, it made me uneasy and afraid that something horrible was going to go wrong, but it never does. It always managed to get under control. And now it's kind of a lot of people use it, and it's not that strange, but what do you run into? What are some of the things that can go wrong with a loop pedal?
Well, one thing that can go wrong is that you spend a year and a half in isolation,
right?
And you write a whole bunch of songs that are not compatible. And so with this project, I really let my songwriting side of things just loose.
Yep.
Whereas in the past, I might have tested a lot of songs on live audiences. So there are limitations to song structure in terms of what you can do with the loop pedal. So not to get too technical about these things, but yeah, so that's been a really fun challenge to figure out how to bring these songs off the page, so to speak, as a one-man band. Right. But there's always moments as a looper where you might do something that's not quite there.
Yeah,
I think I've done probably over 1,000 shows now, so I can to some degree control what people see. There's a bit of sleight of hand in making certain things go away and reappear, and that wasn't quite right, and some happy mistakes as well, where you go, well, that's going to be in here forevermore. So I'm keeping that for the next show. And because it's all been done live on the spot, you definitely get some fun moments. But as a performer, I love to involve the audience and things. So if I make like a really rugged mistake, I'm just going to be like, just have a laugh about that. Because there will be a few moments, maybe once every 6th show, where you just like, that didn't.
And do you prefer to play on your own or not have people with you?
I think it was born out of necessity when I first started out. I started out as a street performer in Wellington, and if you are 2 street performers, then you have to halve the amount of money.
That's no good.
So it was born out of that. But I love playing with people, but also it's just logistically so much easier to travel the world as one person with a family.
Yep.
In my case. In saying that, this last project was so much collaborating going on that my management in the Netherlands have said you should really bring some people with you on the road. So it's kind of a watch this space kind of thing.
Gotcha. Hopefully. And are you planning on heading back to Europe and Netherlands?
Yeah. So we've got return tickets for late August.
Oh, okay.
So our daughter Eva was born March last year, at the very beginning of the European lockdowns.
Right.
So there was a lot of cancellations of family that were going to be coming over, and so we didn't actually get to introduce her to grandparents and things until April, when we came back to New Zealand. So yeah, we'll be heading back over there, and then kind of just, it's a little bit sketchy at the moment with all these new variants and things, but yeah, it's going to be interesting.
We'll have to catch you before you go. So you're going to be in Auckland on the 13th at the Tuning Forks.
Yes.
Yeah, that'll be good.
That should be fun. That was a wonderful show last time I was here. I really enjoyed that. Good buzz. Yeah.
Very good. All right. Well, thank you very much for talking to me. Are you going to do anything
Marty.
special on the 30th when the EP comes out?
I think I'm playing a show somewhere.
Probably. You'd like to think so.
Hopefully it's like a mildly sunny day and I can get away with it.
There you go. The endless summer. Very good. Well, thank you for talking to me.
Appreciate it.
Have a great time.
Brilliant.
We'll see you when
Cheers,
you're up
Marty.
here on the 13th.
I liked it. Cheers, Marty.
Yep. Bye-bye.